Sì, 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 io trovo tutto bagnato, certo. E pozze d'acqua. La cosa bella è che non davano pioggia. Ieri abbiamo scampata per un pelo. Dai, fateli sci, porco due, che si è aperto tutto, stanno aperto sempre, sti ritartati che stanno.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Vallelunga for the final day of action for the 2023 Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe. This is the 6th round. This is race 2, and we're going to split our grids. AM and LC Cup and Pro-Am and Pro later on. Sorry about the delay. We are delayed about 40 minutes from when we should have gone racing early on, and that's because we had quite a heavy fog this morning. We've also had a little rain shower overnight, meaning lots of humidity, the reason for the fog, and also meaning a little bit of a challenge for our AM and LB Cup drivers this morning. They've started their races throughout the weekend, both on Sunday and yesterday. First of our races, so they're used to the cold temperatures, and actually it's warmer by quite a long way over what it has been for the last couple of races for them. 14 degrees air temperature, 15 degrees track temperature. It's just that humidity this morning that they're a little concerned about. You can see the clouds burning off in the background. This beautiful setting for a racetrack in the countryside 30 kilometers north of Roma. Let's go down to the grid because we've got both our championships to wrap up today. We've got 3 different contenders for the Lamborghini Cup, and right in the center of it, 3.5 points off the lead, are the Privitellios.
Luciano, questa gara è molto importante per il campionato. Sei pronto?
È la più importante, sono pronto da 3 giorni, sono 3 giorni che non dormo, oramai sono più che pronto, sì. Speriamo che non succeda nulla, perché oggi ci credo veramente, perché 3 volte secondo, divento come Pulidori, il ciclista francese, quello che arrivava sempre secondo. Ma di quello il problema è che solo tua moglie e il cagnolino si ricorda. Se non c'è il cagnolino il 50% di meno di gente si ricorda, dunque vediamo un po', ma la sento piuttosto bene. Siamo molto carichi e il tempo ci assiste. Poi ho fatto 2 preghiere per quegli altri e via.
Speriamo bene, in bocca al lupo.
Sì,
grazie mille. Just to translate a little bit, Luciano is very ready. He hasn't slept in almost 3 days thinking about this final race, and let's see how it goes. Back to you, Ben.
Thank you very much, Dakota. Yes, absolutely. They are still very much in contention. It was Biglieri and Matic who came to the weekend as the championship leaders in the Lamborghini Cup, but they wrote off their car in practice, and they will start at the tail of the field. Therefore, the Privitellios moving up to second in the championship. Biglieri and Matic 8 points off Jürgen Krebs, who is yet to be beaten in Lamborghini Cup throughout the 3 races that we've had here in Vallelunga. We raced at the weekend, as well as yesterday, rounds 5 and 6 of the European Championship held here at Vallelunga. For the AM Championship, it is between him, Ibrahim Badaway, and Gabriel Rindone. Now, Rindone also had a bit of an adventure in his practice session, so he didn't get a good time in last race and ended up scoring 8 points to Badaway's 12. He will start 6th on the grid. Badaway has Alban Veruti ahead of him on the pole position. The French duo Veruti and Piget have been absolute stars so far in their 3 races that they've had in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo generally. They are the GT4 champions of Europe in the AM category, and they have the pole position. The other stick in the ointment, let's say, is this car of Anthony McIntosh and Glenn McGee. They are from the American Championship and getting double bubble so that they've got lots of experience for the World Finals over the weekend. They were strong yesterday, actually stronger in the European race, and we actually saw them in the American race. 3rd on the grid for them. Remember, different drivers qualify in different races. So qualifying 1 was one set of drivers, qualifying 2 was the other set of drivers. So for the likes of the Privitellios, we just heard from Luciano, father, but it's Donovan who qualified, and that's why the car is so far up the field. It's on row 3. Now, I believe, according to my timing screens, that the race has started now. under safety car conditions. Yeah, you can see the clock there, the Vallelunga clock already counting down. So this is effectively the race start. We are starting under safety car conditions because of the rain out on circuit. There is Luciano, charismatic racing driver. Luciano and his son Donovan racing also with the GT2 Lamborghini. And here is the grid then. We've talked about the front row, Ferruti, Badaway, McIntosh and Coupens in 4th position, and then Privitello and Ridone on row 3. Been a very good week, couple of races for Napoli and Razzo. Charlie Martin doing a great job there, 8th position, 2nd in class, with Jean-Francois Bruno qualifying in 9th, and then Jürgen Krebs, championship leader in Lamborghini Cup, 10th. Dubelli and Harmson on row 6. Hernandez Ortega ended up in the gravel on the last lap of last race. That's where he missed out on the podium. He lines up against Mark Rostin. And then Muloski and Butavicius on row 8. Martelet and Nigel Bailly on row 9, all Belgium row. And then you've got Serge Doms, who got rather biffed up in race 1, with Ollie Freimuth behind him and Libor Dvorček. Most importantly though, number 32, no time set. They are still in championship contention in the AM Cup of this Lamborghini Super Trofeo. They sit, sorry, not in the AM, in the Lamborghini Cup. They sit 8 points back, but scored nothing so far in round 6 in Vallelunga. They also didn't score in the second race of round 5, so they are really pointless considering they have taken 4 victories across the season in Spa, a double victory in Nürburgring, and in Valencia. This has been a very large streak of no points. So we're going to really watch out for Matic, the 32, at the back of the field. They are some used wet weather tyres. I think they've been brought round to the grid, and looking at the conditions that we've seen so far, I'm going to say most people are going to be on the slick tyre. It's not as wet as perhaps the paddock or pit lane. There's VSR. Now, you'd say from that drone shot that the glistening in the paddock suggests wet conditions, and it's a very dark colour to the tarmac. But I'm going to say that everybody's on the slick tyre, and the circuit itself might be a little bit greasy, but certainly not wet weather tyre warranting. Just trying to see if anybody has gone safe here, and I don't think they have. A nice sunny day. Good morning, everyone. A lovely time to come and chill out at the Vallelunga racetrack and watch some cars go round and round in circles. We've got 4 races for you today. We've got the AM and Lamborghini Cup from the European Championship. Then we'll have the Pro and Pro-Am. A little bit of a change to their schedule because of the delay to the start of the day. And so they will start at 11:45. And then round 2 of America is at 1:30, and round 2 of Asia is at 3:30. And then we reset everything. We've got all of our champions sorted, and we go to world final mode, where we put everybody together, everybody that wants to anyway, and they all go racing together, with AM and Lamborghini Cup split with the Pro and Pro-Am in 2 separate races, race 1 and race 2, across Saturday and Sunday. If you're coming down to Vallelunga, plenty of opportunity to have fun. Now, that's quite interesting. There is a little bit of, well, that looked to me like water being pulled up by the safety car. Remember, the safety car will be running road tyres as such. It won't run slick tyre. And I wonder whether that was, I don't think it was locking up. I think that was it pulling up some water off the surface. It's going to only be surface water. But this is going to be a real challenge for our AM competitors because they don't have that same experience and that same feel as the Pro and Pro-Am drivers that would be usually starting. It's been a tricky couple of races for the AMs because they've always had to start at the start of the day, and it's either been super cold temperatures. On the first race on Sunday, they had cold temperatures and slightly wet conditions. Yesterday was very cold but dry, and this morning is warmer but slightly damper. Curious. I'm going to call that one. Right. Safety car is in this lap. Now, it looks to me as though drivers are going to be lining up in 2x2 formation. If we're doing a safety car start, then it would be single file formation, I would have thought. But it does look as though we might be getting ready to go 2x2 as though we were doing a normal race start. There is the safety car heading into the pits. There's nothing on the race control screen suggesting how we might do this, but certainly I would say the front two rows potentially are waiting. So we've got green flag, so you can go racing now. It's not a 2x2 start. Nobody can overtake Verruti, and Verruti's waiting for Badaway to come alongside him. There he goes, off he goes. I think that's very confusing for the AM competitors. Verruti disappears. We're not going side-by-side racing, but I think there was an intention for some of the drivers to do so. Verruti heads off into the distance and has a huge advantage over Badaway of 1.6 seconds as we go to green flag. McIntosh in third, Coupens fourth, Privatello, Ridone, Anapoli, Charlie Martin, Jean-Francois Bruno and Jurgen Krebs, your top 10. But there is really no fighting in the top three because there's massive advantages. McIntosh nervous going into Chimney and loses 2 positions, 3 positions, let's make it. It is slippery out there. And the curve's even more slippery. That's where the water will be being retained. And that surface is not dry, is it? Everybody having to really, really tiptoe in these first couple of laps. They would have had an idea. The whole point of running behind the safety car was to have an idea of where the grip level is, but that is a very clear indication, actually, with the sun glistening over the wetter parts of the circuit, how damp the track is. Tippy-toey, with championships on the line. Into the stadium section for the first time we go. Verruti with a big advantage. That is really remarkable considering Verruti is new to this car, new to the championship. They've been racing in GT4 Europe in a car that probably has half the horsepower of these cars. Privatello there up to 4th position. Good work from Donovan, but he puts his car on the wet stuff. Gonna have to be really careful going through Roma that he doesn't swap ends. And that's Gabriel Ridone in his black car for this weekend because he wrote off his normal car in practice, and Ridone moves up into 4th position. It's Ridone and Badaway for the championship in AM. Here comes Coupens on Badaway. Coupens is a very strong driver and just starting to feel it. Badaway is not happy in these conditions right now as Privatello and Napoli go side by side. And Napoli all the way around the outside. Remember, when you are taught motorsport and you're taught wet weather racing lines, it's stay off the normal racing line. The normal racing line has got loads and loads of Hankook rubber on it. If you stay off that racing line, if you go round the outside of a corner, you will find there to be more grip because the water is sitting on tarmac rather than on rubber. And that is what allows you to go round the outside. That's what allowed Napoli there just to drive around the outside of Privatello. Napoli, though, with no championship to worry about. Now, drive-through penalty for car 22 coming up on our screens. Car 22 is Dvorak right at the back of the field, so not quite sure what he's done. Veruti still leads. He's got a 5.6 second advantage. This is absolutely remarkable from the Frenchman. Last lap of 46.5, and now he does a 44.8. He's lapping nearly 4 to 5 seconds faster than anybody else out on circuit. Veruti has gone straight up to the nines. 7.2 the gap now. Coupens in second, doesn't really need to worry about the championship, and neither does Veruti. But Rindone is now ahead of Badaway. And of course, that is fighting for the AM Championship. There is 4.5 points between them. So he needs to put more cars between himself and Badaway to steal that championship away from the Egyptian. Just looking at the back, a shot to Privitellios. There is a Napoli. Just behind him is Donovan Privitello, and Charlie Martin isn't that far off him now. Donovan's struggling in these conditions too, but remember, the cars are going to come to them. The track is going to come to them as well. As it dries out, they'll feel more and more confident on the racing line as that dries, but off the racing line they might have less grip because the tyres will get up to temperature, will stick to the sticky part of the track, but when you put it on the wet part, it will then feel even worse. Great work all weekend long from Veruti and teammate Julien Piget. Big lift through Roma to keep the nose in around that right-hander. It is very, very slippery out there, but it is starting to burn off. Track temperature moving up to 17 degrees now. There is Renal Coupens. Redone in the black car in third. Ibrahim Badaway can't stay with him and has a Napoli for company. Jürgen Krebs, by the way, third position at the moment for the Lamborghini Cup. Third position is not enough over Privitellios if the Privitellios stay in the lead of the race. It would be 15 points to the Privitellios. It would be 10 for Jürgen. As Badaway loses another position. That's bad news for him. He doesn't want cars between himself and Redone. Obviously a long, long way to go. But there is Luciano coming through. There's Charlie Martin. And then Jean-Francois Bruno and Dubelli. And Marc Rostad travelling very slowly here. Rostad has had an error, an issue in the final sector of the lap. And the final sector of the lap is the S's and Roma. It's two corners, basically. So I'm going to say that he might have looped it. Here is our replay. Right in the middle of the pack, through Roma, through the last turn. And Molashitz has turned him around. Boom. Rear and front contact from the Polish driver. Molashitz sharing that car with Adrian Landowski, son of Andre, who yesterday got his 5th championship in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. As we now look at Coupens, 10 back from Veruti on his own. Veruti's pace, it was Veruti's confidence actually that has got him such a massive gap. He did an incredible start. I think others were a bit confused how they were supposed to start. Certainly the impression I got was that some of them wanted to go side by side and have a normal race start. There is Coupens, then Rindone. Now Rindone was a fraction faster on that last lap. The big loser really is Badaway. Badaway is 3 to 4 seconds slower than the guys ahead of him. He may well be just feeling the nerves of leading a championship coming into the final round, but not being able to actually wrap it up. Rindone will get 10 points for third position. And Badaway will get 6 for fifth. That's 4 points. And the gap between the two of them is 4.5. So at the moment, would you believe, Badaway would win the championship by half a point. And the good news for Badaway is Jean-Francois Bruneau is 7 seconds back. He's the next AM driver that could take points away from Badaway. What Rindone needs to do, and what is actually more likely to happen, is Rindone needs to see if he can move himself up ahead of Coupens, or in the second half of the race, pass Vallelunga. Here's Badaway. It's okay if he loses a position to Privitello. And actually, knowing that Luciano is going to get into that car, Donovan needs to get a bit of a move on, really. Seeing Malulski dropping down the field, down to 18th position. So I think either that is damage from that contact earlier on, or Malulski has also had an issue. I think in the middle sector of the lap he's had an issue. Yeah, losing 20 seconds in the middle sector. So he's been off the road somewhere and now down in 20th spot. He's also just got himself a time penalty for that contact. That's Badaway. Victory in the Nürburgring, victory in Valencia, victory last time out here in Vallelunga in the AM class. And maybe just playing percentages. If Gabriel Rindone moves up one more position, Badaway will lose the championship. Now, if he loses a position to Privitello, it doesn't matter. And he can lose a position also to Charlie Martin, who's behind. That doesn't matter either. It's anyone with a green number on your graphics to get past this 62 car. Still not dry out there, is it? We're still doing 142s. These guys were capable of 135s yesterday. And there is Charlie Martin in the background. Not quite on top of these two yet. Getting close, though. Interested to see that Rindone hasn't yet managed to get past Coupens. 1.7 seconds between those two. And actually, Napoli starting to get back onto terms for second position. What Privitello here doesn't want to do is be held up by Badaway. He really needs to push on, because all of the time lost being caught behind a slower car is all the time that when he hands over to his father, we know that he's going to go backwards. We know that he's going to hemorrhage time. But, and that is why Donovan, much like Charlie Martin behind, needs to hand over a really good position to their second driver. Pit window is kind of open in 25 seconds time, so for those drivers at the tail of the field who've got faster teammates, they'll be getting into the pits pretty soon. But familiarity is going to be so important for the drivers that have already been out on the circuit for a couple of laps. That familiarity is going to pay way more than usual, because a new driver getting into the car is going to get very spooked by the conditions that we've got right now. And so for Rindone in 3rd position, for Badaway in 5th position. They don't have teammates. They are staying in the cars. Their pit stops will be longer, but only 3 seconds longer. Right, the battle then for 2nd position, really. Coupens, Rindone and Napoli. And Napoli back onto the tail of Rindone here. Rindone's kind of ended up sitting behind Coupens, not doing anything. And I think that has compromised their confidence and pace a little bit. They're still miles off the pace of Verruti up the road. Verruti has a 15-second advantage. His last lap, 2 seconds faster than anybody else. Doing such a great job. But he'll hand over to Julien Piget, who will have no idea what the conditions are out on circuit, will have no idea what car he's got underneath him. And it will take him some time to get back up to that kind of pace. Just having a quick look at the damage to Moloszki's car, who's now got Lewandowski in it. We've got a little bit of tape going on. There is the McIntosh McGee car. And they really have not enjoyed the wet weather conditions. Unlikely to see this kind of conditions for the rest of the weekend. We are expecting it to be cold and dry, certainly in the afternoons of Saturday and Sunday, and we aren't going to be going racing in the mornings, so it's the most tricky of the conditions that these guys are going to be facing, and they really have had their fair share of it, drying the track for the pros that come next. Elie Dubelli handing over to Roy Mehrhouse. Now, Mehrhouse was on the pole position in race 1 and fought at the very head of the field. And in their race 2 on Sunday, Mehrhouse led until he handed over to Dubelli, and Dubelli then got spooked and had a spin. Expect that number 18 car to progress very quickly through the field. Roy Mehrhouse, young charger, GT4 champion last year, GT3 racer this year, with an American-Israeli passport. And here, Coupens getting a little bit compromised by the 22 car. Dvoracek is still aboard that car. He now gets out the way. And actually, Coupens was lucky there. For the 3rd place in Lamborghini Cup, Matic is now aboard the 32, but they are still at the tail of the field. Sorry, it's not Matic. Matic is handed over now to Biglieri, but they are still at the back of the field. They haven't progressed at all. They're fighting with Charlie Martin and Privitello. They need points. They are 8 back from Privitello and Krebs in the championship. At the moment, the championship would go the way of the Privitellios, because Jürgen Krebs only 3rd, but there are, well, actually, it's difficult to say because there's so many pit stops going on right now, but I think he was 3rd pre-pit stop. But of course, the Privitellios will be changing drivers. Charlie Martin hands over to Jason Keats, and the other car that's in between them is the 69 machine, Putvicius. Now, he's the same driver, so he will not change drivers, but I think he's artificially high up because Krebs actually has already pitted. There he is, sitting in the pits as Rindone comes in now. Out of that traffic. Was he being held up by Coupens? Nice close-up look of Serge Doms. We've not seen too much of Serge over the weekend. Look how much air is coming out of that tyre. That front has really, really overheated a lot. So difficult to predict. The air temperature and track temperature was quite high but the humidity on the track was also quite high. So very difficult for the teams to know what tyre pressures to go with. Badaway has also pitted, I believe. I hope so, because Badaway, yes, he has, 9th position. There's Veruti, still circulating. He's got another 4.5 minutes before he needs to hand over to Julien Piget. But Veruti just been able to do this all by himself today. Coupens handing over to Figlioni. Expect that car to go backwards because Coupens is the faster of the two drivers. And Napoli and Randazzo. We've seen Randazzo actually with a really good pace. Was able to hold on for victory in race 1 on Sunday, round 5 of the championship. And obviously then we've got Privitello's Charlie Martin going backwards, Jean-Francois Bruno handing over to Kieron Lee. And the first of the pitters is Gabriel Rindone. And Rindone is, according to the timing screens, now I'm sure this is going to correct itself, but it does say Rindone is 25 seconds up the road from Badaway. I can't believe that. I think they must be not quite updated. It now says 20 seconds. Yeah, it's a big gap between the two championship contenders, Rindone and Badaway. Yeah, 20.7, there you go. Wow. However, right now, there's no cars between them. So it would still hold on for Badaway to take the championship. Veruti through the S's, probably doesn't need to come into the pits this time. May choose to, but he's still got another lap. Yep, and he stays out. So Veruti, Coupens, Napoli, Privitello, Martin, Jean-Francois Bruno, all drivers staying on circuit until the last moment to change over to their second drivers. Rindone best of the pitters from Badaway. The gap 21 seconds between those two. Roy Mehrhouse is behind Badaway. And he's got to be a threat. The key thing for Rindone here is he needs to try and get cars between himself and Badaway. Those cars need to be AM cars as well. They need to be AM cars. They need to overtake Badaway, but not overtake Rindone. Or Rindone needs to pass them, and Badaway can't get past them. Either way, right now, where they sit, even though there's 20 seconds between them, and it's going out to 22 now, even though there's that much of a gap, it's not enough for Rindone to win the championship. There's Pierre Fielagioni. He's about to take over from Renault Coupens. This is the last possible lap. Coupens and Napoli running together. Time's now down into the 38s. And our first 4 cars are going to be pitting this next time. Charlie Martin in the pits this time to hand over to Jason Keats, giving Keats a very healthy advantage over Jürgen Krebs. And Veruti now comes in. No more laps possible. There's Mark Rosta. Mark's just getting out of the car after his stint. Coupens and Napoli coming in now, and Privitello will be the last car then to come to pit lane. And then we can focus really on what is happening in the second half of the race. We're looking out for the 21 car of Gabriel Rindone. He's the first car to have pitted. Alban Veruti handing over to Julien Piget. I'd say Autovista have got this absolutely bang on with setup. There was not much air coming out that front tyre, was there? There is Rindone. Not in his usual colours. because he wrote off his normal race car in practice. So this is a spare car that they had to get ready for qualifying, and he's made good use of it. But it does add yet another black Lamborghini to the field. He's in the hairpins. Meanwhile, I think Piquet is already out the pits. Yeah, so Piquet holds on to the lead. That's not particularly unexpected. We're still waiting for the number 2 to leave the pits. I think that might have been the number 2 leaving the pits just then. Privitello son hands over to Privitello father. Randazzo out on circuit, Vallelunga out on circuit. And then I think Rindone's come into 4th position. There is the number 2, there is the number 21, so it's close. What has happened is Randazzo has managed to jump Vallelunga in the pits. Actually, and they've got a 3.7 second advantage as well, so a big advantage, but there's traffic to contend with here for the number 60. That's the Randazzo car in 2nd position, with traffic to get past, and then just behind Rindone looking down the inside. No, I wanted to see the other one. Randazzo and Vallelunga, Rindone, sorry, as Randazzo gets through all this traffic. Look at the background, and number 2 is still ahead of number 21. Vallelunga holding on here, but Rindone desperately wants to get past because, well, actually, Badaway is losing positions. Badaway's lost 2 positions. Oh, we got cars off the circuit. Oh, no. And I think he's going to get away with that, but is that the... That's, I think, the Mark Rostad car. And now down the inside at Roma, there's hardly any room between the 2 of them. Rindone side by side with Vallelunga as they come across the line. This is for 3rd position right now, but they're also chasing Randazzo. Meyerhouse is up to 5th ahead of Privitello. That's not unexpected, but the big problem is that Badaway is now down in 8th. Rindone 3rd, Badaway 8th. Really not going the way. Oh, and very good getting out of the way there from the number 22. This is really, really not going the way of Ibrahim Badaway whatsoever. Badaway has lost a position to Kieron Lee. He's lost a position to Roy Meyerhouse. And now, surely, is a position to lose the championship as well, down in 8th spot. Randazzo holding on ahead of Gabriel Rindone. But Vallelunga dropping back. 2.4 is the gap. Vallelunga is likely to go backwards from here. And just look how tight it was between the 2 of them. And that is going into Curva Grande, where they managed to get it done. Gabriel Rindone, you can see, not even on dry tarmac, slings it down the inside and gets himself up a position. Now the team need to be on his radio. Now the team need to be telling him that Ibrahim Badaway has not got any pace today. He's going backwards, and Gabriel Rindone now just needs to finish. There is your leader, Julien Piquet, exploring all bits of the circuit. 22.6 seconds back from Randazzo. But the two Frenchmen here are in a class of their own, I think. And they do not need to be worried whatsoever. Privitello still leading in the Lamborghini Cup class. Jason Keats is still 2nd right now. Jürgen Krebs is 3rd. So, like that, the Privitellos will win the championship, but there is no doubting that Privitello's pace is unlikely to match Krebs. Donovan doing a 43.1 on that last lap. Jason Keats doing a 44.8. Krebs in the 39.7s. So it is going to change. We need to keep an eye over the next 15 minutes on the battle in Lamborghini Cup. And in the middle of that battle for Lamborghini Cup, you can see Privatello in 6th overall, Jason Keats in 10th overall. Badaway sits in the middle. Now Badaway must be in a bit of a pack here with Privatello and Kieron Lee. Let's get down to the pits with Dakota then. She has got Charlie Martin with her.
I am indeed here with Charlie Martin. Charlie, now we can see the conditions on track are quite wet, but what areas are they wet in? How would you about the track conditions?
Yeah, it's very mixed out there. I mean, it's drying up all the time, lap by lap, and certainly some of the spots where, you know, like the big straight coming out of turn 6, where the sun's just really hitting it, and there's a bit of breeze. That's nice and dry, that whole area, but certainly the opening few laps of the race were really tentative, and the whole track was pretty greasy. I think when we first went out, you know, onto the track for the sort of getting to the grid, it was horrific. It was like an ice rink, quite frankly.
You've done a great job to give your teammate a good and healthy lead into the last bits of the race.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy with the job I did. I mean, you're sometimes going off the cars in front to an extent to, you know, gauge what's happening, and it's just sort of tiptoeing through the conditions as it improves, trying to find the dry line and just get a feel for how hard you can brake into the corners. But yeah, he's got a good chance now, and you know, hopefully my 3rd podium of the week, really.
And will you be participating in the World Final?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait for it.
Great. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks.
Great stint from Charlie Martin. Jason Keats now in that car and in 2nd position in Lamborghini Cup. This is the leader of Lamborghini Cup. Donovan Privatello holding on ahead of Ibrahim Badaway and Kieron Lee. Badaway's got ahead of Lee and put him up 1 position. Oh, they're side by side. So Badaway may get himself past. He's lost 13 seconds to Roy Marehouse in like 3 laps. And at the moment, Badaway he needs to get a move on, because the championship is no longer his. Actually getting past. Oh, down the inside, very, very late, but it's good. It's decisive, and it's done. Getting past Donovan Privatello means nothing to Badaway. Gets himself up into 6th, gets himself clear air, but he's got 13.5 seconds to chase down Roy Marehouse. He absolutely needs to be on it. Kieron Lee looks to the inside through Roma. And now, further back, Jürgen Krebs is about to overtake Jason Keats for 11th position. And that will change things massively for the championship, because Krebs will move up into 2nd in class. The gap, 3.5 points between the two of them. Oh, and look at this, Glenn McLeod's turned on. Anthony McIntosh really struggled in the first part of the race, but Glenn McLeod is on fire here, trying to find a way past and down the inside of Donovan Privatello. That should be easy enough done. Privatello going on the defensive though, no real need to do that. Door open for the next part, and through he goes. Donovan's not fighting these guys. He just needs to hold on to the lead of the race. But if Krebs gets past Keats, then there is nothing that Donovan Privatello can do. Krebs and Keats, Krebs will be within 3 points of Privatello, and it would mean that Krebs would win the championship by half a point. Donovan still with, what, 12, 13 seconds advantage. Oh, somebody sliding. To hear exactly who that was. So there is Donovan Privatello. Doesn't matter that he loses a position or not to Kieron Lee. It's what's happening behind for 2nd that actually matters more. Jason Keats won't know it, but if he stays ahead of Jurgen Krebs, he will give the championship to the Privatellios. If Keats gets passed by Krebs, then Krebs wins the championship. That's why 11th position right now is far more interesting and far more important than this little battle here. Donovan Privatello, though, being very, very defensive, isn't he? Shutting the door. Randazzo with Rindone really close behind him. This is for second overall. They are closing in on Julien Piget. It's down to 16.4 seconds. Oh, side by side. McGee getting past Badaway. It's going from bad to worse for Badaway. Down to 7th again. Rindone up in 3rd position. The championship's going the way of Rindone here. Keeping an eye on that battle for 11th. Keats and Krebs. At the moment, Keats is still ahead of Krebs. Here they are, the two of them. Vital for Privatello that Keats stays ahead of Krebs. Krebs needs to get past that 54 car to win the Lamborghini Cup. Of course, they're also traveling a lot higher speed than Luciano Privatello ahead, so they might even catch him in the end of this race. We've still got 8.5 minutes remaining. So many places to look. May well have got the overlap here through Roma. Got a better drive out of the turn. Wilfred Casabon just behind those two. They're actually 10 seconds off Holger Harmsen in 10th position, so they're unlikely to be taking that much time out of Donovan Privatello. Krebs to the inside, much, much later on the brakes. Can he get the deal done? No, he can't. He's too deep into the turn. Keats goes back up the inside, the Canadian. And here comes Wilfred Casabon, which I don't necessarily think that Jurgen Krebs will be expecting to see a third party in this fight. Oh, Jurgen nearly going into the tail of Jason Keats there. Loses a position, runs wide. That's okay, though. They can let Casabon go through. Oh, no, but yeah, Krebs has left the door open. Keats has left the door open to Krebs, and Krebs has snuck his way through there. Jason Keats was paying too much attention to Casabon, and that move means championship in the Lamborghini Cup to Jurgen Krebs. Jason Keats drops down to 3rd. Oh, and Rindone is facing the wrong direction. Rindone from 3rd position and damage to the front of his car. He's had a go at Randazzo, hasn't he? He hasn't lost a lot of time, and I don't think he's lost any positions, unbelievably. And so even though he's just been facing the wrong direction, I don't think he's going to lose this championship. Let's have a look. Lining up Randazzo, looks to the inside, quite late move, and Randazzo was already turning in there. Gosh, they both ended up going sliding. And a nice recovery from Randazzo, straight away gets going again. There's Matteo Michelotto on the pit wall. He's got his race coming up a little bit later on. See if he can win the championship. Badaway is down in 14th position. This has to be Badaway's worst race all year. He didn't have a very good run of things in Spa either. But Badaway losing another position there. He's now behind 4 of the Lamborghini Cup drivers. The only thing that he can hope for is that Rindone puts himself off the road. Got a bit of traffic to contend with here. Krebs and Keats have just gone past Lewandowski. But it is still Krebs ahead of Keats. And Jason holding on 1.1 seconds to Jürgen Krebs. They are closing in on Privitello, but we've got 4.5 minutes remaining, so I'm not quite sure they're closing in enough. There is Rindone. Now 6.2 back from Randazzo. I guess the only other thing that might happen is race control might give him a penalty. And if that happens, then maybe Badaway will inherit something. But Badaway, they must have just gone completely the wrong way with their setup today. In these greasy conditions, we're still not down to usual race pace of 35, so we're still in the 40s. There is Badaway going through the shot, and he's going to lose a whole lap to Rindone here. He gets out of the way. Has he given up? Has he got a problem? Seems as though that car is going very, very slowly. There's obviously quite a lot of Lamborghini Roma DL racing cars out there, but if that was Badaway, he may well be heading to the pits. It was Badaway. Badaway has a problem. That car going slowly was our championship leader in AM, and he, I think, is heading to the pits and out of this race. It would explain what was going on all day long as to why he was losing so much pace, but that is gutting for Ibrahim Badaway. His first year in motorsport, so strong throughout the year, a real surprise for us. Barely, he's still a teenager. He's racing against many drivers, so much more experience, but he's going to have to park that car, and that hands Rindone the championship. Absolutely gutting. Now, I don't know what's happened to Jason Keats, but Keats has now dropped behind Lindhout. Maybe being a bit too kind. I don't think Lindhout has enough pace to close down Jürgen Krebs. We need to keep an eye out on that, though, because if Lindhout, who is not part of the championship fight, but will take points away from Krebs, if he gets past Krebs, then the Lamborghini Cup goes back to the Privitellos, who've just lost a position to Wilfried Casavant on track. But the 23 there is closing in for the journey. 4th position. Losing time to Rindone, that's expected. And now you have to say that it's pretty much on the racing line anyway. Dry out there. Oh, now there is only 0.4 of a second between Jürgen Krebs and Lindhout. There we are. Suddenly, if Lindhout gets through, the championship goes back in the hands of the Privitellos. We're on the last lap here. We've got 50 seconds remaining. Badaway is completely ground to a halt now. But Jürgen Krebs has only got a lap to hold on here. There's the leader, Julien Piget. Incredible performance from Alban Veruti. Over 22 seconds of advantage pre-pit stop. Piget just had to cruise home. The gap is going to be a lot smaller by the time he gets to the finish. Blimey, Badaway is not in a good position whatsoever there. Needs to get those double wave yellows out pretty pronto on the racing line in the final sector when we're going to have people racing. And is that Krebs behind Lindhout? It is. Krebs has lost the position to Lindhout. Suddenly the championship goes back the way of the Privitellos. Here comes Piget. Yellow flags will be covering the last couple of corners here. got to be super careful. And, you know, when you're racing hard at the back of the field, you're not going to expect to have a car parked up on the racing line. Round the final turn, it is going to be Julien Piget who takes victory in Vallelunga. What a weekend Piget and Veruti have had. A double victory on Sunday. Lindhout comes over the line and Krebs comes over the line in third. I can't believe it. In one last lap with a driver who is not part of the championship. Jürgen Krebs has missed out on winning the Lamborghini Cup, and the Privitellios will take it. The checkered flag flies for the rest of the field. Meyerhouse gets fifth, McGee to sixth position. Badaway in the end retiring out of the race. Gabriel Rindone winning the championship by finishing third. Here is Donovan Privitello. Sorry, Luciano Privitello. Donovan did all the hard work at the start, gave his dad a really healthy advantage and kept him out of the way of the battle for the Lamborghini Cup. And what a spellbinding race that has been in the Lamborghini Cup. I can't believe on the last lap it's changed hands. Double wave yellows covering off Ibrahim Badaway, who will be sitting absolutely gutted inside that car. But here over the line, Lamborghini Cup champions, the Privitellios take the checkered flag. And that is race done. What an entertaining race we've had. Second in AM, the Napoli and Randazzo car holding on from all kinds of assaults throughout the race. But what a massive result for Piget and for Veruti. Double victory on the final weekend. They go into tomorrow with so much momentum. Julien Piget looked very chilled this morning when he was having his breakfast. There is Badaway, absolutely gutted. I think he will be able to get towed away. I don't know exactly what has expired on that car. There's going to be a very, very happy couple of Italians. Well, Donovan is French. Luciano is San Marinian. But they are going to be celebrating a huge amount. There's the winner of the race, Julien Piget. Very, very easy run for him. It was all done by the confidence that Alban Veruti had in his first stint. The massive advantage that he had after just a couple of laps. Piget might celebrate, but it really was Veruti who did the work. And don't forget, third position, that number 21 car in the background is your champion in AM. Randazzo celebrates second after a little bit of contact. There's his teammate in Napoli. But the guy in the background is the AM champion, Gabriel Rindone. It's Leopardo who take victory. And what a turnaround from crashing the car on Wednesday. There are your podium contenders, and there is the man that lost the championship. In the end, at least he's going to be happy to know that the lack of pace wasn't all his own doing. But that is not the way you want to lose a championship. So I make that 2 brand new champions in Lamborghini Cup and in the AM category. Helmet comes off, Gabriel Rindone, and that means we can go and talk to him with Dakota.
We can. Let me get in here. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Champion, and it must feel so good.
Ah, that felt really good, this one. It was hard. I almost didn't believe it anymore, but I gave it all today. I really gave it all.
It looked quite hot in the car during the end.
Yeah, it was, but it was fun. Greasy conditions, very tricky. I like this as well, so it was my day.
What a congratulations, and a great way to end the season. Congratulations again and again and again. Well done.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
It wasn't without his troubles, though, was it? He ended up facing the wrong direction, spinning with Randazzo at one point. And had that been worse, well, if he had retired and Badaway had retired, I suppose Badaway would have won the championship. As it happens, Badaway is trying to sort out a sick car out on circuit. Very, very sad. Focus on the World Finals, though, and you have to worry, or the AM competitors will be worrying, that those 2 Frenchmen look very, very strong. A double victory in only their 3rd and 4th races in Super Trofeo AM. Piquet and Veruti. I can't think really of many AM lineups in Asia or in America that have that kind of pace. And they've come in, and they've come and been stronger than so many of the full-time competitors. That's a nice looking livery on the helmet. A little chunk out of it. I think at some point Dakota is going to find a Privitello to talk to as well, because and that should go on for about 15 minutes. They will be absolutely ecstatic. I can't believe that it changed on the final lap. Jürgen Krebs, had he held on ahead of Kenneth Lindhout, he would have been the champion. But Kenneth Lindhout coming through and beating him by 1.5 seconds in the end. After Krebs had got past Keats to get himself into championship contention, he loses again. And I think he loses it by half a point. The gap, no, 3.5 points, so it's a bit more than that. Here are the highlights. Nice little highlight package. We're going to get the podiums underway then. And some celebrations from the VSR team. It is the AM podium first. Rindone, Randazzo and Piquet, the finishing drivers. And the Swiss national anthem. I have to say, it may be the conditions that these guys have had to deal with across the 4 races that we've had, but the AMs have really put on such great shows. There's Piget and Veruti. I'm pretty sure we'll be going to see them again. They might need to step up into a different category, because otherwise it might be quite easy for them in AM next year. But they've got their GT4 championship in the AM category. Rindone wants to spray the champagne. Everyone else seems to be heading off. I do know that Veruti and PJ have only got 1 set of overalls because they're new, because they don't have overalls with Super Trofeo on them. So that was a bit of a last-minute fix. And they also are going to need to have a photo as well. So the final championship standings then. Rindone wins the championship ahead of Badaway, with Feligioni and Coupens in 3rd, Dubelli in 4th, and Apoli and Randazzo move up to 5th in the championship after what has been an amazing couple of rounds here in Vallelunga. Now let's turn our attention to the Lamborghini Cup, and it is Jürgen Krebs, third on the podium, Lintert and Mario Martel, with a great stint from Kenneth Lindhut at the end of the race, which has prevented Jürgen Krebs from taking the championship. He took 2 victories in round 5, but only 3rd today means he doesn't get enough points, and the Privatellios are your champions. Trophies then being handed out. Great to have new teams and new drivers, such as the Martel Lindhut's car. There is a very, very different 2 sets of emotions there. In the background, Jürgen Krebs, you can see the disappointment on his face and the incredibly smiley Privatellios. He was so close, Jürgen Krebs. He was so close, and the only thing he can do is tomorrow and Sunday get his revenge in the World Finals. We know he can do it. We know he's got good pace around this Vallelunga circuit. And maybe it just was Donovan's confidence in those wet conditions that made the difference. Somebody needs to give Luciano a lesson in spraying champagne. Gosh. I mean, it's not rocket science, is it, really? Jürgen Krebs then, halfway through the race, was the champion. Up to 2nd in class, having passed Jason Keats, but then lost that position with 1 lap to go and therefore dropped to third in the race. Third in the race was enough for him to lose the championship to that car, the Privitellios. Look at that, by 1.5 points, the gap in the end. Biglieri and Matic ending up holding on to third position, would you believe, despite scoring no points for the last 3 races. Keats and Martin 4th. So that is that for the AMs and the Lamborghini Cups. Stay with us though, because we are going racing very shortly with the Pro-Am and the Pros from Vallelunga. Round 6, race 2 coming up in a few moments' time. Bye-bye.